Yes, welcome inside our CBS Sports studios. I'm Adam Shine, alongside the greats, Kyle Long, and my goodness, Kyle, the AFC North at the top. It is absolutely bonkers right about now. And, we saw what Baltimore did on Thursday. And you're thinking, okay, at least I'm thinking, Ravens about to run away with this thing. Pittsburgh has Indianapolis coming to town. What Pittsburgh did to the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday, bottling up Jonathan Taylor, who I thought was the MVP favorite going in, turning over Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. This was an offense that was a well-oiled machine. The way that they played winning football at home on the heels of what happened against Green Bay, on the heels of what happened on the Thursday against Cincinnati, this might have been the statement of all statements in the NFL in week number 9.
Yes, and in order to win this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers had to make the Indianapolis Colts a one-dimensional football team. And we've all been talking about Jonathan Taylor, MVP, Jonathan Taylor, this, that, and the third, Daniel Jones as well. But today, the Steelers were like, we're going to find out what Daniel Jones has really got. We're going to find out what that offensive line has in terms of just straight-up standard drop-back protection. Everybody in the stadium knows you got to throw the ball. You're playing with down a couple possessions against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's when those rush men show up. And that's when guys like T.J. Watt show up and make big plays, tip balls at the line of scrimmage. Daniel Jones on the ground a number of times today. That's the steel curtain defense that you and I have known, respected, and loved for so long. And the fans have been just fiending for it in Pittsburgh. And with Aaron Rodgers' emergence and him showing everybody that, yes, he can still play football, it begs the question, where the hell's the defense? And the defense showed up today against what J.J. Watt on the broadcast described as the hottest offense maybe in NFL history, the Indianapolis Colts. And they answered the bell today, the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's about to get really interesting in the AFC North. We know Lamar Jackson's back. The defense seemingly is waking up for Baltimore, but this was so impressive, and this is telling that we're going to be buckled up and ready for an explosive ride at the end of the season.
And I want to hit your brilliant point home and what they did on defense, knowing that their offense has been really good this year. Rodgers and company, they've been solid. They're waiting for Jaylen Warren to run it in for a touchdown. Did that. It was able to score a couple times today, which was huge. The Steelers' offense has been good. I thought the Steelers' defense this year, by the way, highest paid defense in the history of the NFL, I thought they were going to be excellent. They have been, up until this point, one of the 3-4 worst defenses in the entire league. Yeah. But today, this is what we expected. And in my opinion, Kyle, there's no reason why they can't play like this on defense the rest of the year. And if they could play like this the rest of the year, starting next week, I'm telling you, all bets are off, because literally the betting favorite to win the division is Baltimore. Schedule favors Baltimore. If the Steelers play like this on defense and they just beat the pulp out of the Colts today, they could beat anybody in the NFL.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when I think about the AFC North, what does it take to win the AFC North? You got to stop Derrick Henry. And in order to stop Derrick Henry, you got to have 7 to 8 men who are willing to go the distance and fight the fight that's in the trenches, that salt mine style game. How long can you go hard for? And we found out about the Steelers today, punching that offense in the mouth, forcing the passing game to really have the onus on their shoulders, and it didn't work out for the Indianapolis Colts. That's the formula for getting after the Baltimore Ravens as well. And with Lamar Jackson's hamstring being where it is, and obviously he's healthy, but you and I both know those things are fickle. They come and go. Stop the run. Force teams to beat you with the passing game. And I think as it pertains to that Steelers defense, as you said, the most expensive defense in football, there's an old adage in football. All you got to do is show it to me one time.
That's right.
Then I expect it every time.
That's right.
And it's not just one time against, Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
This is the Indianapolis Colts,
That's
buddy.
right.
This is the football team that has been putting up points at an astronomical rate week in, week out. And to handle them the way they did this week, it's very telling.
I think so. And it's very telling on the heels of, like we mentioned, the last couple of weeks. And listen, Jordan Love caught fire on that Sunday night game. And then the week before, what happened against Joe Flacco and company when he was only in Cincinnati for a hot minute. So now you get the Steelers defense playing like they did. Lamar Jackson is healthy, which changes everything. When he's healthy, we're talking about an elite special ball player. Obviously has a couple of MVPs and a runner-up last year for the MVP in terms of his resume. So who do you favor? Who do you pick right now? Baltimore or Pittsburgh in the AFC North?
Well, if I just take a look at the schedule, and we don't have to think about AFC North, we can just think about the ball games that these teams have to play. And as you know, as well as I do, it's a war of attrition. The schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers is tough. I mean, you've got Ravens, Bills, Bears, the Chargers next week. That's a physical team on the 9th of November. Lions and Ravens to finish it out. But then I look at the Ravens schedule, and it's like, should be a win.
Yep.
Should be a win.
Yep.
Should be a win. Should be a win. Pittsburgh Steelers above 500. Again, for the Ravens. That's going to be the AFC North matchup. And then you go down a couple more games, you end up playing the Patriots. The schedule isn't that daunting for the Ravens. And just like the Steelers had to wake up defensively, the stars on the defensive side of the ball for the Baltimore Ravens are going to be the reason that they do make it or don't make it to where they should be going with this group.
And I think when you look at it from a Pittsburgh schedule standpoint, that Charger game and that Bengal game, they have to be considered wins for Pittsburgh to be part of this conversation because, look, as you said, if you play like this on defense, you could do it all the time without question. But Baltimore's schedule plus health would favor Baltimore. I don't want to call them must-wins, but they kind of need to get those dubs if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way, I feel for the great Bengals fans. They've had to watch this year without Joe Burrow. Opportunity a couple of weeks ago to beat the Jets, and New York got its first win, only win of the season. And then what transpired today in the craziest game I've seen all year. That was bonkers. Cincinnati had a golden opportunity to find a way to beat the Chicago Bears. They lose 47-42, the final. I hate this for the great fans in Cincinnati, but what a waste. This team is toast.
And that's a great point because last year we're watching this team with Joe Burrow and we're saying their backs against the walls. They have to win every single week. And that was the conversation to get to the dance. And that was the same conversation we were having last week. Can this team with Flacco get to the dance? Well, you saw today. If you score 50 points and you lose the football game, if you scored 45 points or whatever it was, you lose the football game, buddy, Cancun is a calling.
Let's go, Steelers Nation. What a Sunday we just witnessed. You know, coming into this game, I had my doubts. We all did. Pittsburgh was coming off back-to-back losses, facing the #1 offense in the entire NFL, the Indianapolis Colts. And the way things were trending, this felt like the kind of trap game that could push us into a dangerous 3-game skid. But man, did the Steelers show up, and did they make a statement? Right from the CBS Sports studio, the tone was clear. This win flipped the entire AFC North conversation. The analysts themselves said it. This wasn't just a win. This was the statement of Week 9. They were expecting Baltimore to run away with the division, but Pittsburgh came in, shut down Jonathan Taylor, who was in the MVP talks, and dismantled an offense people were calling one of the hottest in league history. And here's what makes this win so sweet. The Steelers' defense, the most expensive unit in the NFL, finally played like the elite squad we expected them to be. 5 sacks, 6 turnovers, an absolute demolition job in the trenches. TJ Watt was a menace. Highsmith was everywhere. In the secondary, Porter Jr. and Peyton Wilson with picks. That's the defense we've been begging to see all season. They called out the Steelers' D for underperforming all year. They said we were one of the worst defenses in the league, despite that payroll. And what did we do? We went out and shut down the league's top offense. We turned Daniel Jones into a turnover machine. We held Taylor to 45 yards on the ground. That's not just a bounce back, that's domination. And yes, Aaron Rodgers did his part too. Managed the game like the vet he is, didn't force things, made the throws that mattered, including that beauty to Freiermuth. But let's be real, this win belonged to the defense. The CBS crew said something that stuck with me. If the Steelers can play like this the rest of the year, they can beat anybody in the NFL. Let that sink in. Not just they can compete, but beat anybody. That's how transformative this performance was. They also laid it out plain. If we can replicate this formula, stop the run, make teams one-dimensional, and let our pass rush feast, we've got a real shot not just in the AFC North, but in the playoffs too. Steelers Nation, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the defense we were promised. And now it's time to keep the pressure on. The division is wide open. Baltimore might be favored, But if we bring this same energy, this same grit, we're coming for that crown. Now, I want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment from the game? Do you think this defense is finally here to stay? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're riding this wave with me, smash that like button, subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire, and let's keep building this amazing community. We're just getting started. Here we go, Steelers!